My name is Timbani Threadgill, and this is Timbo Talk. I'd like to thank you for joining me for another episode. Most appreciative of the support. You guys who have been tuning in, those who have shared the pod, all that good stuff. Much, much appreciated. I wanted to let you guys know that I've talked about a couple of episodes that are in the works. Ask Timbo will be the next episode, God willing. That's the plan, at least. And then the episodes on struggling with children's behaviors will come after that. There has been a lot of moving pieces, a lot of going on. So bear with me. Those episodes are coming. This short is kind of born from the end of the last episode that I recorded. And I think one of the things that I said towards the end of the last episode was believe people when they show you who they are. And as I kind of stood on that, it reminded me of a conversation that I've had with a lot of different people around managing their expectations of others. And I kind of jump right into this with a story. So I have a dear friend, really, really good friend of mine. He is chronically late. I mean, he's probably never been on time to any engagement we've ever had, regardless whether it's to a football game, meeting up for dinner, grabbing beers. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Like, you name it, this dude is chronically late. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. So he convinces me one time to meet for a beer. He's like, let's grab a beer. Let's grab a beer. I'm like, okay, reluctantly. I agree to meet him for a beer. I had a long day or whatever it was. I just kind of wasn't feeling it. Knowing that he's chronically late, I said, okay, let's meet at 7. Knowing that I was going to show up at 7:30. You see, I was going to outsmart him, right? Show up at 7:30. So I show up at 7:30. Look at the clock. 7:35. Look at the clock again. 7:40. 7:45. 7:50. 7:55. Right about then, he strolls in, same old same, nothing going on, and I'm fired up. I'm annoyed. I explained that, man. I said, let's meet at 7. I still showed up at 7:30. I could have been waiting here for an hour. I've been waiting here 30 minutes, man. Like, nah. And I'm just pissed. And he's just looking at me, listening to me. A couple minutes into my rant, he looks at me. He's like, you want a beer? Man, I don't want no beer. I keep going off. Man, you always do this, man. It's disrespectful. It's rude, man. You respect anybody's time, man. I had a long day. You told me you could come out for a beer. I didn't want to come out for a beer. He's like, all right, you want a beer now? Man, I don't want no beer. So he turns, orders a beer. I keep going off. I don't know how long I went off on him. I finally stopped going off after however many minutes it was. He's sipping on his beer. Didn't even react. He turns, he looks to me, and he goes, dude, this is who I am. You know I'm always late. I don't do it to be disrespectful. You know I love you. You've been one of my best friends. This is just who I am. I don't do it on purpose. It just kind of happens. Can we have a beer now? And in that moment, I kind of laughed to myself and I was like, you know what? He is right. He is chronically late. And this is who he always has been. And it's really my fault for expecting him to be somebody who he has never been before because I thought I quote unquote outsmarted him, right? And that's really what I want to talk about, right? So our expectations of others. In that instance, I placed an unrealistic expectation on my boy. I knew he wasn't going to be on time. And I thought that if I adjusted and showed up 30 minutes later than we had agreed to meet, that he would be somehow there before me, which wasn't the case, right? He was who he has always been. So a couple points. Expectations versus reality. Frustration can come from the reality that doesn't match what we expected, okay? Even if reality is consistent with what has always been true, kind of like what I just talked about with expecting him to suddenly be on time. Another point that I want to make here is accepting predictability. Now, if someone has shown you over time that they behave a certain way, we should adjust our expectations accordingly instead of setting yourself up for repeated disappointment, right? So an even more foolish thing to do would have been to be like, okay, I'm going to do this again next time, and this time my buddy's going to be on time. No, he's not. He's never on time. I got to get that idea out of my head. I have to stop hanging on to this idea that he's going to be on time, right? Because he's not. He's not going to show up on time, okay? Now, accepting that predictability in a healthier way may be to always show up to an agreed upon time 30 minutes later, which will hopefully limit your wait time to a shorter period of time. Last point here on this, the power of preparation. Like I said, If you have a pattern, if predictability, if you are accepting this, then prepare around it, okay? So like I said, show up 30 minutes after you agree to show up. Bring your work laptop and knock out some emails or whatever it is, Listen to a podcast, whatever it is, but be prepared for the reality of what that situation is likely to be, okay? Now, if you guys want to take this, the same exact concept, right, and apply it to other areas of your life, not just with your friend who's chronically late, okay, but your family members who respond a certain way. Maybe every time you talk to your father, he guilt trips you, okay? You can expect that. Like that. If that's who he is, that's who he is. Doesn't mean we don't love him. Might be frustrating or irritating sometimes, but if that's what he does, if that's how he reacts when you have to have a serious talk with him, for example, then you can prepare for that, at least mentally to the best of your ability, right? You have an aunt who is intrusive. At Thanksgiving, expect her to be intrusive, all right? If we expect her to be intrusive, then hopefully we are not as upset or irritated when she is all intrusive, because that's who she is, right? We are having realistic expectations of others based upon who they have shown us that they are. You can apply this to coworkers. I had a boss historically who would freak out and do things at the end of the day. And, all of a sudden we're all freaking out at the end of the day. Well, not all. Everybody else. I didn't freak out. That's not my issue. At least try to keep it like that. So, yeah, you can use this and apply it other ways. Your kid who takes forever to get ready. Can we, instead of getting frustrated because we needed to be out of the house at 7:30, and we're out of the house at 7:45 because we woke the kiddo up at 7. Okay, if you know the kiddo takes forever to get ready, then instead of waking her up at 7, wake her up at 6:30. That when she takes forever to get ready, we're still not running late, right? So there are all kinds of things that we can do to prepare and do what we can do to make sure that we are using predictability in a productive way. So when you start to pick up on the patterns, when you start to pick up on the habits, use them to your advantage. It doesn't have to be something that is chronically frustrating. We should be able to adjust our expectations of individuals, of workplaces, of situations, of the way people react, of people's patterns, all of these things to hopefully take a step back and use it in a way to make things run a little smoother, or at least be less reactive to things, maybe not running as smooth. So something you can do is, if you're listening to this, check in with yourself and ask yourself if there is one person in your life whose pattern is very predictable but still frustrates you. Ask yourself, am I frustrated because they're behaving differently than usual? Or is it because I wanted them to be different this time? Make peace with patterns, set new boundaries, do things so that expectations serve you instead of frustrating you. Appreciate you guys tapping in. As always, my name is Timothy Threadgill. This is Timbo Talk.